Next question is from Joel on Instagram. I have a question about the carbing process with a carb stone. I've seen it multiple ways. Am I correct in my assumption that I can set my Brite tank head pressure to the desired carbing pressure and then set the same pressure on my regulator plus the wetting pressure and crack open the valve, and the beer should carb until equilibrium hits? Yeah, that can do. Yes, you can do it like that. I'm not sure how long it will take you. It could take you longer, but it sounds like a nice gentle way of carbing, and I am pro gentle ways of carbing, so that's fine. Continuing though, I've also seen it done with putting head pressure on the tank and just setting the desired pressure on the regulator, and the beer will carb up until equilibrium is hit. You're discussing like head pressure carb. Also fine. Nice, gentle way. Can take considerably more time depending on that ratio of surface area to the rest of the size of the tank. I've also in the past personally, you said, or is there a different Adam Makes Beer approved way? Thanks. There's a few ways to do it, man. First of all, I do like gentle ways of carbonation because you're maintaining your foam. Those proteins that govern foam are a use it and lose it type scenario. So every time you make a beer foam up, the quality of that foam stand later in the glass is diminished. All right, so we want to be as gentle as possible when we move those beers around. I've seen kind of the grip it and rip it, the what is it? The blast and bleed kind of thing where you're gunning CO2 through a carb stone at 35 psi, and you have the vent arm bleeding, and so you're kind of like you have it at 15 psi, which is usually the max for the tank, and so you're pumping gas through and you're bleeding it out the top. You can get foaming, it can come up through, then you have to stop and let it chill. That is a quick way to blow that gas up really quickly. You could potentially be degrading foam during doing that. But lots of folks do that. I've done it in the past. I've also done, so say I have 1.8 volumes of CO2 in a beer, and that means that I'm at like 5 psi is the equilibrium for that. I've had a beer transferred over. It's in my tank. The carb limit of where it is matches the pressure of the tank, so it's like 5. I've done what you're saying with the, because it's like at 32 degrees or 0, whatever, 0 Celsius. That, for me, I wanted it to go to 10, and I knew my wetting pressure was 5. So, I would set it to 15, knowing that it would only get the tank up to 10. And I would do a real small crack, and I could just hear that backflow preventer like buzzing. And by the time I got it in the morning, it was all the way up where I needed to be more times than not. And that's kind of a gentle way to do it too. We talked about some really aggressive ways, some really fast ways of doing it. Then also some slower ways. If you have the time to do head pressure carb, that's great. Maybe you might be able to get a little nicer foam out of that. But yeah, those are all valid options. I would prefer to choose options that are more gentler than just the rip and grip and blast out the side. But yeah, that's just me. Joel. Appreciate the question, man.